Hi, this is Bill Osmond, City Manager. On this edition of On the Agenda, I will be talking with two City of Douglasville staff members. First, I will complete the conversation with our City Sanitation Director, Greg Roberts. Then I'll be talking with City Clerk Joyce Stone. So I hope you will join me for the program today as we seek to make you more informed about your local government. Hi, this is Bill Osborne. My first guest on this edition of On the Agenda certainly is no stranger to this program. He's Greg Roberts, our Director of Maintenance, our Director of Sanitation. A few weeks ago, Greg was here wearing his hat of Maintenance Director. In the last episode of On the Agenda, he was back wearing his hat of Sanitation Director. He's back again because we didn't get through talking when you were here the last time. And so welcome back again, Greg.
Thank you, Bill. Glad to be back.
Now let me just give our viewers a brief summary of what we did in the last episode of On the Agenda. We talked basically about our residential garbage and sanitation, trash services. We talked about what we do with residential customers, the regular pickups for garbage, for trash, our recycling program, the special fall and spring cleanup, and a lot of activities that we do for our residential customers. We talked about Keep Douglasville Beautiful. In fact, Chan Weeks, who works for you, our Executive Director of Keep Douglasville Beautiful, she talked about our special spring cleanup that takes place at the end of April. But we didn't get a chance to talk about our fee structure. We didn't get a chance to talk about commercial and industrial customers that we have. So we're glad that you're back today to do that. Let me just remind our viewers that if they wish to get additional information from Chan Weeks and Keep Douglasville Beautiful, that they can make contact by calling the telephone number, dealing with the email address that we're showing on the screen at this time, because we would like for more and more people to get involved in our programs on recycling. We'd like for more people to get involved in the many activities that Keep Douglasville Beautiful has during the year, because I think you and I would certainly agree that it's important to improve the environment of our community, to keep our community looking good, and Keep Douglasville Beautiful certainly works to do that. And of course, simply for regular sanitation services for our residents, if somebody has a question, if they need to start service, if they want to switch from a 90-gallon container to a 65-gallon container, or any other questions that they may have, what should they do?
They would need to call 770-920-3005 or email us at the email on the screen. And our staff there, including myself, would be more than glad to help any of our residents or commercial customers in any way we can.
Right. I want to go back to one thing that you talked about last time on the recycling program, that we had a private hauler, a private company that handled our recycling program for several years. And over that period, it switched because of mergers and companies buying out each other. And we decided that our customers were not getting the quality of recycling services that they needed. And so we switched, made arrangements to terminate that relationship, and the city, your department, began handling the recycling program, and you reported that we had increased our participation on a regular basis from about 10% of our customers to more than 25% of our customers. Of course, we're not satisfied with that. We want more. And, you know, I'd like to just take this time to urge our viewers to participate in our recycling program. And I'd like to encourage the adults that are watching this program, get your kids involved in recycling. They enjoy it, and it will be something that teaches them and will be beneficial because they will be living in that environment that we're creating year by year. But before we start talking about commercial and industrial customers and our pay structure, Any comments that you want to make just about our residential service or anything else you've got on your mind concerning your department?
Well, we're proud to serve the citizens of Douglasville in every aspect of our department, and the sanitation department is no less in that opinion. I feel like we have a great service. Nothing is perfect, but I think we have an almost impeccable sanitation service to our residents. We have a minimal amount of problems on a daily basis. We take care of those that we do encounter, and so we're proud to serve the citizens of Douglasville, and I think by and large all of our citizens are happy with the service they get.
Right.
Because one thing that we sometimes fail to point out to our residents is that not only do we pick your garbage up, we do provide the recycling at the same cost for your sanitation fees. It also pays for the yard waste truck and the sweeper truck that takes care of the streets. That's also an extended arm of the sanitation department. And I think sometimes I personally get real busy and forget to point that out to a lot of people, and it is an important aspect of your monthly fee to the city of Douglasville that it covers all of those expenses.
Right. And how many years have you worked for the city, Greg?
I've worked here for just over 15 years.
Okay. And 15 years, that puts Greg not as working here as long as some of his sanitation workers. We've got among our 5 driver heavy equipment operators and our 8 refuse collectors. We have 3 of those men have been with us 18 years, another 4, 13 years, and none of those are old men either. They will be with us, I imagine, for years to come, and they do a great job. But let's move away from the work that our manpower does with our residential. Let's talk about our commercial and industrial customers. And of course, we handle those services through franchise agreements.
Yes.
Let me start by letting our viewers know how a franchise agreement works. That Georgia law lets a local government sign a franchise agreement with a private company to provide certain services in a particular geographic area. And this can be an exclusive franchise agreement, which means that there's no competition for that company in that particular geographic area. And in return, of course, whoever has that franchise agreement pays a certain type of fee to the city government. So it produces some income for the city as well as providing the service, and that's the way we've chosen to deal with our commercial and commercial and industrial customers. And of course, we have 2 exclusive franchise agreements at this time, and one of those companies is United Waste. The other is Waste Industries. And so let's talk for a minute concerning United Waste. Tell us exactly what that exclusive franchise agreement is for, how it operates, and just give us a quick rundown on what United Waste does with us under that agreement.
United Waste is, as you say, a private sanitation solid waste hauler. And the city of Douglasville has had a relationship with this company for a number of years. They provide us great service. They handle the roll-off portion for construction type materials, and not just for construction, but a lot of our larger commercial customers and industrial commercials, such as Arbor Place Mall. Both the Walmart stores and the Sam's store, they utilize the roll-off service that is operated by United Waste, and so the larger bulk hauling of solid waste for our commercial and industrial customers, that is handled through United Waste, through the city of Douglasville.
Okay. And then, of course, we have Waste Industries. That's the other exclusive franchise agreement. I know that's for front-load containers.
Yes,
I think of it as the dumpsters.
Yes,
so tell us about how that works.
And it works pretty much the same as the roll-off customers, but most of our commercial customers are on the front-load or dumpster service for the city of Douglasville. Typically, our residents would recognize those more at places like convenience stores, fast food restaurants. Those would have the front-load containers, and we offer 4 sizes in those. And Waste Industry offers us great service in this area, and they've been with us for a couple of years now. And at this time, we're very satisfied with the service that they provide to us.
Right. And of course, Greg, you and I know that when we're talking about commercial customers, that also includes privately owned apartment complexes. That where the occupants of the units generally take their trash and garbage to a central point, a dumpster of some type. And of course, our city sanitation department serves the single-family residences as well as condos and townhouses in the city. But the franchise agreements, United Waste, Waste Industries, they provide the service to residences who live in the private apartment developments.
Yes.
The city of Douglasville, your department does provide the residential service to the public housing developments in the city. Well, let me change topics for just a minute. We talked earlier about recycling. Tell us about recycling by commercial customers.
At this time, it's mostly on a individual basis. We don't have any service that we provide on behalf of our commercial customers. United Waste does offer some of that service through a couple of their vendors, and so does Waste Industries with front-load containers, and these are typically the boxes that you'll see at a lot of commercial businesses that will take newspapers only or something similar to that. Right. But currently it's a volunteer basis, but most of our commercial businesses, such as the Arbor Place Mall, they recognize the value to a lot of their paper goods that are disposed of, such as cardboard boxes and that type item, and they are a great recycler here in the city of Douglasville for such a large operation.
Very good. Let's move away from talking about the services to talking about how the services are paid for and the revenues we receive and the expenditures that we have. And first, I'd like to point out that our sanitation services that are provided by the city of Douglasville, they're not paid for by any revenues from property taxes, from sales taxes. Actually, unless we get a small grant from a private foundation or from the federal government or the state government, the revenues that we have for sanitation services are coming from the customers.
Yes.
And those revenues go into the sanitation fund. Basically the money comes into the sanitation fund, the expenditures are made from the sanitation fund. It's called an enterprise fund, and basically what it means is that our sanitation operations are a self-sustaining operation. The current budget, you and I were talking earlier, that we have in the sanitation department overall, the sanitation fund for this fiscal year, July 1 through June 30th of 2008, is slightly above $4 million. We expect to expend more than $3 million this year. We do try to be sure that our revenues are exceeding the expenditures because we do have a capital fund, because when you replace a garbage truck and some of your other equipment, that's rather expensive. And then, of course, we want to have a fund that if we did have some type of major emergency, we'd be able to serve our citizens. Now, your department, of course, does the monthly billing for our commercial and industrial customers. And so you work with the two franchise companies to actually handle the billing, but it kind of flows through us so that we know what's going on in terms of what's being charged, and that's important to us because, as I said earlier, that both of these companies, in order to have the franchise agreements, do provide a payment to us on a monthly basis. But now on our residential side, you don't do those bills. That we contract with the Douglas County Water and Sewer Authority. We determined that that was more efficient and more effective in terms of handling the billing in that way. And we pay a fee, of course, to WSA for doing this service. Now, in the previous program, we talked about the fact that we've got two different sizes of residential garbage containers. And that's based on what the needs of the residential customer is. And how much they pay for that service is dependent on what size container they have or how much garbage they're throwing away. Same principle really works, doesn't it, in the commercial side? Tell us how that takes place.
Well, for the roll-off, which is contracted with United Waste, we offer 4 sizes of roll-off open-top containers. Of course, now some of those are not open-top containers. Some of them are for, some of the restaurants have them, and they're completely sealed and leak-proof, and they're free of any airborne materials, so that varmints, whether winged or four-legged, cannot get into these containers, and to keep the restaurants in compliance with Georgia Health Department regulations. And so the roll-offs are predominantly in 4 sizes. We offer a 10-yard, a 20-yard, a 30-yard, and a 40-yard. And the prices can vary, and we do recommend that you call 770-920-3005 to get the full price list and the costs on these containers from the city of Douglasville. But typically a 30 or a 40-yard container is typically $194 thereabouts per month. There are some additional fees that we won't go into here, but that's the bulk of the fee for a container.
Right.
And
I know that there's a difference. Some places get picked up more frequently than others.
Yes, sir, and that's where the charges come in, and your tonnage too. And so the tonnage makes the difference, and that's what a lot of customers sometimes don't understand is that your cost will depend on your tonnage. If you're a scrap metal dealer, your tonnage is going to be a lot more than, say, a food service industry.
Right. Very good. Well, Greg, thank you for being on the agenda for the second consecutive episode. Any closing comments that you'd like to make?
No, we're just, as we've said before, in all the areas that we serve in the Maintenance and Sanitation Department, we're just glad to serve the citizens of Douglasville and the mayor and council and the administrative staff of the city of Douglasville. And we have a great bunch of employees down there at Maintenance and Sanitation, and they're all proud to do their job every day, and I'm just proud of them and proud of the city of Douglasville, and glad to work for the people of Douglasville. Okay,
very good. Well, we appreciate you being with us, and come back and join us some other time.
Okay.
And when we come back to this edition of On the Agenda, I'll be talking with our city clerk, Joyce Stone.
Hello, I'm Shirley Franklin.
And I'm Sam Olens.
In the face of the historic drought in our metro area and throughout Georgia, we want to thank you for your water conservation efforts.
By conserving water in your home and workplace, you're helping Metro Atlanta meet this unprecedented challenge.
Water is our lifeblood. Please make water conservation a way of life. Visit northgeorgiawater.org for more information. Thank you.
Welcome back to On the Agenda. My second guest on this program is the lady seated to my right, Joyce Stone, who's the city clerk of Douglasville. If you've watched city TV with the city council meetings, or if you've been to a city council meeting, you may remember where the city manager sits, and of course next to the city manager is where the city clerk is. And so, Joyce, it's a pleasure to have you with me today. Welcome to On the Agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Osborne. My pleasure.
Well, you know, not all municipal governments have a city manager or a city administrator, but all municipal governments have a city clerk. And of course, Ms. Stone is the city clerk here. Let me read from the Douglasville City Charter, which says that the city clerk, this is section 313, the city clerk shall be custodian of the official city seal and city records, maintain city council records required by the city charter, and perform such other duties as may be required by the city council. Now, Joyce, we don't have time in this edition of On the Agenda to go into all of the duties that, that you have. We're not going to talk about city elections. We're not going to talk about the various responsibilities associated with the operation of the city council, including all the reports that you have to file with the state from time to time for the mayor and for council members. When you come back another time, we'll talk about the paperless agenda that all of us have been working hard to initiate. And of course, that's going to replace those big, thick workbooks that you and I work on that we give to the council members and the mayor to go through during the council meeting. But we'll talk about those in the future. What we want to talk about at this time are a couple of the things that I mentioned from the city charter, namely that you're the custodian of the city seal and the custodian of city records. Now, when we talk about the city seal, I'm going to give you the city seal and you can tell us about it if you would.
Well, I'm the custodian of what I call the crimping seal. It's used to make an embossed, raised impression on paper.
Okay. Now, what uses are made then of the city seal? What kind of papers would you apply that seal to?
Well, it's similar to a seal from an incorporation. It's a mark identifying this city, and this is reminiscent of the wax seals that used to be used in the olden days when they actually sealed an envelope or a scroll, only this is a little less messy.
Right.
Proclamations made by the mayor have a gold seal on them, and it's embossed with a seal. Agreements and contracts are have the seal crimped on those also.
Okay, very good. Now, the city charter says in addition to the city seal that you also are the official custodian of city records. So what are we talking about when we talk about city records?
Okay, that's anything that we have. Basically, it can be paper, it can be electronic, contracts, agreements, property deeds, minutes and minutes books, ordinances, resolutions, paper and electronic records of any type, audio and video tapes, letters, emails, and so on.
All right. Now, City of Douglasville's been around since, I think, 1875, but now as a custodian of city records, how far back do your records go, and how do you keep up with all of that?
City Council minutes actually go back to the beginning, 1875, when they were handwritten onto permanent pages. I keep these minutes in a fireproof safe. There are several sets of minutes. The older minutes books have been microfilmed and they're stored at the state archives. More recent minutes have an original copy on paper, then they have a photocopied set that's in the official minutes book. For minutes beginning in 1950, we also have a CD copy and a copy stored at Municipal Code Corporation's Laserfish Department, which is accessible from our website.
Very good. So if I'm a citizen and I want to check out the minutes of a past city council meeting, what do I need to do?
Call City Hall and ask for me.
Okay.
And you request a time to view the minutes, or you can go online at the website and send me an email. I'm listed under the departments section. In fact, we had a lady who's quite a historian come in not long ago and go back to the very, very beginning and read some of the old script.
Right. Now, if I want to get a copy of the minutes and I've come in and done, what does it cost me?
Contact me. The cost of a paper copy is 25 cents a page. You may also find what you need on the website. So you can click on council agendas and then click on minutes, and you may find what you need just right there at your home.
So probably start by looking online, and then if I don't find what I'm looking for then I can call you
Yes.
and make arrangements to come by.
Right.
Now, from the time that the city council meets to the time that those minutes are available, what intervals are we talking about?
Well, once the mayor and council approve the last set of minutes for a quarter, those 3 months are sent to be put on the web, and that takes about 3 weeks. After the first meeting in April, when council approves the final meeting in March, then the first 3 months of 08 will be sent to them. January through March should be available by the end of April 08.
Okay. I want to go back to the city seal a minute because our viewers are seeing a gold copy of the city seal. Same thing that this is imprinting on paper that might be put under there. Okay. But for a lot of people, when they think of the city seal, or some people I guess would call it the city logo, they're thinking about that impression that they see on our stationery, on our business cards, on a lot of places around where you would see signage on the City of Douglasville and other places. And of course, our viewers, when they see this, if it's in full color, they know that the colors are old gold and kind of a navy blue with a little bit of white in the background. You can see the date, 1875, on this seal or this logo. And part of the picture that you see, if you're looking down at it, would be on the left side. You would see something that's depicting this community's agricultural history with a field and I guess a farmhouse. And then on the other side, you can see a small community, a little downtown section, you might call it, with a few buildings. But of course, the main feature is a tree that's in the middle, and this is a tree without leaves. You know, we get a lot of questions about why do you have on your seal a dead tree? Why do you have a tree that doesn't have any leaves? What's the point of the tree? So give us a little history lesson here.
Well, this is just a little short lesson. Douglasville was known for about 100 years as Skint Chestnut. The story goes that on the original site of the city of Douglasville, where the elevation is about 200 feet higher than it is the surrounding neighborhood, there once stood a large chestnut tree. It was used by the Indians as a landmark, and they stripped off the bark to make it more visible. So, and of course, it eventually died.
Right.
So that's how we got a dead tree.
Skint chestnut tree. And I'm told that the location was approximately along where U.S. Highway 78, West Broad Street, just to the west of the old Douglas County Courthouse. And that was near the top of the hill and as you've described, historic conditions. You know, from time to time, Joyce, somebody will say to me, well, why don't you adopt a new logo? Why don't you have a different city seal? And about 15 years ago, the mayor and the city council actually looked into that, that in fact, we hired a graphic artist to come up with a new logo for the city. And that individual provided several versions of what they thought the city of Douglasville's logo or new seal should be. And I don't remember what it looked like. I do remember that there was a lot of different opinions by the elected officials as to which of the graphic artist renditions they preferred. And about half was split between keeping the old or going with the new. And the bottom line is that nothing happened. And since then, nothing has happened. So
we still have a dead tree.
We still have the skint chestnut tree, which is very distinctive in terms of our logo. But for our viewers who had not heard that story, I thought you would be interested in that. And you know, when we come back on another time, Joyce, as I say, I do want us to talk about city elections and what your responsibilities are there. Also, some of your other responsibilities. Joyce and I both are located on the second floor of City Hall. Now, how many years have you been with the city?
Just 8. 8
years, and worked in a law office, I believe, before that time. Well, we're delighted to have you as city clerk. I've been delighted to have you with me today on the agenda.
Thank you.
And we do want you to come back. Any closing words that you have for our viewers?
We'll let you know if we get any leaves on that tree.
Okay. We'll appreciate you being here today, and I do want to know about the leaves if they start growing on the tree. And to all of our viewers, I hope you have a great week, and join us next time on The Agenda. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of On the Agenda. The City Clerk's Office and the Sanitation Department are important parts of your city government. If you have questions concerning our sanitation operations, you can email us or you can give us a phone call at what you see on the screen. We want you to certainly participate in our recycling program. And thank you again today for being a part of On the Agenda.